There's a lot of bad anime out there. Like, you think you've seen bad, you maybe dipped your toes in some mid-2000s filler, you got burned by a Netflix adaptation or two, maybe even dared to join an annual Bonsai Pop viewing party of Dark Cat. But you haven't suffered. Not really. Not until you have seen Skelter Heaven. This anime isn't just bad, it's like cosmically bad, the kind of bad that feels deliberate. It is literally the lowest rated anime on my anime list, dead last out of over 14,000 entries. Skelter plus Heaven is sitting at the bottom like a forgotten egg salad sandwich behind the radiator, okay? It is foul, inexplicable, like putting tuna in a person's car in the middle of summer, yet somehow it's still warm. And we have watched it, so you don't have to, but we have a lot more than just this anime to hit. But the first thing that hit me when I watched this anime wasn't confusion or even horror. It was an overwhelming sense of boredom. It's the kind of anime that makes your brain start checking for emergency exits. You don't know what's happening, but you also don't care. The story drops you into a world you know nothing about and does nothing to try and get you hooked on its premise. But the part that really stuck with me, the part that burned itself into my soul, is the pacing. This thing is only 19 minutes long, but somehow it feels like an hour. You feel the minutes pass every second. You can hear them pass. You're just sitting there waiting for something to happen, cringing when the CGI action finally comes, and then it's just over. Skelter Heaven isn't just a bad anime. It is an endurance test, a cinematic black hole. It's like the kind of experience that makes you sit back and ask, how does this exist? Who made this? And what did they think they were doing? And that's the thing. Yes, this anime is horrible, and it is the lowest rated anime of all time. And people have done videos on it before. But this left me with so many questions, I started looking deeper into it. And the deeper I got into it, the less Skelter plus Heaven felt like a one-off mistake, and instead started to feel like something bigger. Much bigger. But we're gonna get there. So welcome to the insane story of the worst anime of all time, Skelter plus Heaven, and more importantly, why it exists. Let's pop off. Hello friends, Mike here. It's almost summer and that means it's time to touch grass and lose the pizza pounds I gained during hibernation season. Thanks to our sponsor Fabletics, I can do it feeling like I'm still wearing my work uniform of pajama pants and a Snuggie while looking fresh and staying cool. Now, we've worked with Fabletics before and I absolutely love them. They're our favorite sponsorship. Work uniform jokes aside, Fabletics is all I wear now. Form-fitting but stretchy, pockets out the wazoo, sweat wicking, it's the whole package for whatever you're doing. We want you to be able to experience some of the most comfortable and good-looking clothes on the market, so we got a deal for you. If you sign up for their VIP membership, you get 80% off your first order. It is a deal so good, my grandmother signed up and bought everybody Christmas presents this year in June. Now, if you stay for a month, that membership cost goes towards a credit for either a bundle kit or one item worth up to $100, guys. That's free money, okay? You don't want to miss out on this. It's an insane deal, so use our link below and sign up to be a VIP and get fitted up with Fabletics. Now, let's get back to this ridiculous anime. Now, watching Skelter Heaven is a uniquely hollow experience, okay? The plot, if you can even call it that, is paper thin, barely coherent, and almost impossible to focus on thanks to some of the most aggressively terrible CGI ever put to screen. This is supposed to be a mech battle anime where artificially created soldiers suit up to defend Earth from an alien threat that looks like someone tried to model an Evangelion out of squid parts and sadness. Picture a literal squid rendered in 2002 on a gateway PC running Windows Me. That's your big alien threat, but the CGI is so clunky and weightless. Every frame is so stiff and unnatural plastic. It's like someone animated a fight scene using PowerPoint. It looks straight out of a PlayStation 1 cutscene, but there's also zero attempt to blend the 2D and 3D elements. Scenes are cut between hand-drawn characters and crazy plastic-looking CG models mid-sentence, and it's jarring, and none of that even scrapes the surface of the plot issues. Skelter Plus Heaven throws you into its world with no setup, no context, and no interest in helping you gather any of that. There's a vague sense that the girls were artificially created and raised by the military, but it's never explored, just implied through cryptic flashbacks and vague exposition. You're expected to just vibe your way through the lore, and then, just as you start to think it might be building towards something, like maybe this is all a weird prologue, I don't know, maybe there's a twist coming, they kill the squid and cut to a 1-year time skip, again in a 20-minute anime, drop a news broadcast saying more squid have shown up, and then they roll the credits like they were expecting a sequel. That's it. That's the whole story. And that's what kind of broke me with this. It's not just that Skelter Heaven looks awful. It's not just that it makes no sense. It's that someone made this. Multiple people, they got paid to do this. An entire team. Scripts were written. Storyboards were drawn. Voice lines were recorded. Animation was attempted. But I needed to know why and how. Why would anyone make this? Why did anyone get paid for this? Why did it get pressed into a DVD and sold to actual human beings? How did it get greenlit, funded, and published? So I started digging, and that's when I found the name that explains everything. Idea Factory. Now, if you don't know about Idea Factory, don't worry, I didn't either. Idea Factory is the studio that created Skelter Plus Heaven. However, they are not a traditional animation studio. They are first and foremost a video game company. The kind that releases more titles than it should, you know, most of them games you've never heard of with anime girls plastered on the cover. And back in the early 2000s, during the PS2 boom, they had a strategy. Make all the games, then make anime to promote those games. Not full-length adaptations, not passion products, just cheap short OVAs that could double as extended trailers and maybe trick a few people into thinking there was a full story worth buying. And that's exactly what Skelter Plus Heaven is. It is a glorified cutscene. It wasn't made to entertain. It wasn't made to stand on its own. It was made to sell a bad game, and that's it. The story doesn't make sense because it's just the prologue. The world feels underdeveloped because you were supposed to play the rest of it, right? The girls are your potential romantic love interests in a visual novel called Tenku Danzai Skelter Plus Heaven. Oh, and the best part is that Idea Factory is still in business and they have dozens of anime girl games out right now. But going back to 2004, the Skelter Heaven animation was done almost entirely in-house by Idea Factory themselves. The director, Yoshiteru Sato, wasn't a veteran animator. He was and currently is the company's president, which explains a lot because nothing about this looks like it was made by people who understood animation. With all that, it's pretty clear Skelter Heaven was merely a business decision to try and cash in on the anime fan base to promote their anime adjacent game. But if it ended there, this might just be a little story about the worst quote-unquote anime of all time and how it came to be. But it doesn't end there because Idea Factory was not done. This wasn't a one-off idea. Less than a year before Skelter Heaven dropped, Idea Factory released another anime, a one-off OVA sci-fi disaster piece with the worst CGI, wooden voice acting, and an incomprehensible plot with a runtime of 19 minutes, and it's called Mars of Destruction, the show that currently holds the number 3 spot on my anime list's all-time worst anime. It's not a coincidence that 2 of the top 3 worst anime ever rated were made by this game studio. So when I researched this, I thought that was a pretty crazy coincidence, revelation, whatever you want to call it, that this company was responsible for multiple of the worst ranked anime ever made. And I assumed that was the end of the rabbit hole, but I was wrong. Idea Factory has created 21 anime between 1998 and 2015, and every single one of them is based on one of their trash video games. And once I found this list, I knew I had struck gold for terrible anime. And to be fair, if you look at the ratings of Idea Factory's other works, they are still above the 1.89 star rating Skelter Heaven currently holds. And that still means that Skelter Heaven is still the undisputed worst anime in the world, or that would be the case But here's the thing about MyAnimeList's rating system. If a show is too obscure and has too few reviews, it doesn't get a definitive score. So I started looking deeper. And not just at the worst rated anime, but at the ones that were too obscure to be rated at all, which sounds like exactly the type of graveyard that you might find some video game OVAs in, and that's where I found Run Equals Dim Nai Seo Seu Ui Banran. No, I don't know how to perfectly pronounce it, but I did my best. Originally, this aired in 2001. Run Equals Dim is a full 13 episode series produced by Idea Factory. However, that series is actually rated on MAL and it has a 4.73. Certainly not good. However, Run Equals Dim Nai Seo Seu Ui Banran is a compilation movie that aired in South Korea and condensed the 13 episode 5.5 hour runtime into an hour and 20 minutes. The only version of this movie I can find is a French dub, so I don't know what it's about.
Bon, le meilleur est le roi. Je vous signale que votre équipe est à la traîne, vous entendez? À la traîne.
But you can find the original series on YouTube, so technically it should be possible to match together the scenes from the original and remake the movie with English subtitles to see just how bad it is, but that sounds like a lot of work and I'm not going to do it. I will say though that this has the potential to be actually the worst anime of all time. So now we've got the lowest rated anime of all time, Skelter Heaven, the third worst anime ever made, Mars of Destruction, and the unrated, possibly worst compilation film of Run Equals Dim, all made by the same company, all tied to cheap video games from the PS2 era. And at this point, I should have walked away, closed the tab, ended the script, moved on with my life, but I didn't, because there was one more. One anime so obscure, so low effort, so completely unhinged that it makes everything else look like it was produced by Ghibli. This is Mami Mume Mogacho.
それがこれから始まる番組さ。元気でおかしな仲間がたくさんいるんで、そこんとこどんどん紹介させてもらうよ。それでは今日の1曲目、Let's go!
I can only find the first 8 episodes unsubbed on Dailymotion, and today I am officially nominating Mami Mume Mogacho as the actual worst anime of all time. It was released in 2001 with a 13 episode run. Somehow, and on MyAnimeList, it only has 578 members. Basically, nobody has heard of this show, and unlike the rest of Idea Factory's works, MyAnimeList doesn't even know the original source of the anime. But I do. Mami Mume Star Mogacho is a complete season of anime produced to promote Mame Mume Mogacho's Print Hour, a printer accessory for the PS2. This wasn't even a full game. Idea Factory made an entire anime to promote a printable sticker program. I'm not kidding. And not only that, but it was for the PS2. I mean, this kind of technology came out for the original Game Boy. And from the little I can find on Idea Factory's own website, Mami Mume Mogacho's Print Hour is a printer-specific application where you could talk with Mogacho and friends, fill out an address book, play some mini games, and print out stickers, postcards, and characters. And I'd love to show you what it looked like, but as far as I can tell, there is no footage of it, at least not online. I have found a handful of screenshots to give you an idea of what we're talking about, but this is all there is. This game is teetering on the edge of becoming lost media, and the anime is not far behind. The anime itself is, I mean, the lowest budget you've ever seen, and completely CGI, and very obviously made for kids who won't care if a character just stops moving for 10 seconds straight. The little bits of hand-drawn images typically just pan across the screen with no actual animation, like .jpeg stuff. The mouth movements are incredibly jarring, and remember, okay, this was supposed to get kids hyped about printing. I guess Idea Factory made this for children. Now, it can't speak to the plot and writing of the show, but if I had to guess, it's probably very bad. If you watched this show when you were younger, if you know more about it, please comment and let me know, because this is some really obscure stuff. I really would like to put together more pieces of whether or not this is actually the train wreck it seems to be. I mean, it's basically visually unwatchable anyway. So yeah, like I said in the beginning, if you search Skelter Heaven or worst anime of all time, you're gonna find a lot of videos about specifically Skelter Heaven, which is trash, but I mean, there's a lot worse out there for real. But you're not gonna find you're not going to find this. Idea Factory said, why stop at the worst anime of all time? They gave us Mars of Destruction. They gave us Run equals Dim, Nai Seo Seu Ui Banran. They gave us Mame Mume Mogacho for all dozen children that owned a PS2 printer. It's crazy. 13 episodes, plus like a baker's dozen more we didn't even mention in this video. And you know what? I gotta respect that. Not the anime, of course, but the commitment, right? Like the audacity to do this, the sheer corporate delusion it takes to look at a children's printer app and say, you know what this needs? 13 episodes of full CGI anime. Let's just do that. We're used to some bad anime being boring or lazy or just kind of mid. By we, I mean, you know, Bonsai Pop here. Every season too, like of new anime, people argue over which show sucks more, but these anime are on another level, okay? They are ambitiously bad. They're what happens when a company makes anime the way you make instant noodles. Cheap, fast, and served directly into the garbage. But they don't make anime like this anymore. Like, this is a thing of its time. Even Idea Factory hasn't made an anime in a decade, which honestly makes me a little sad. Because yes, these shows are, they're terrible, but they are fascinating, hilariously broken, completely sincere in their failure, and somewhere along the way, I stopped hate watching them and started kind of enjoying them. I mean, I like bad anime anyway, but like, this is ridiculous. And if that sounds like your kind of chaos, you should check out our Patreon viewing parties, where we pride ourselves in inflicting as much trauma bonding through bad anime as humanly possible. Not this bad. Not this bad. You like good bad, funny bad. Anyway, come suffer with us. It's a good time, I promise. And I hope that you learned something about a small pocket of terrible anime and a company that produced all of it. I'm Mike. This is Bonsai Pop. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.